Language is such an amazing thing of human language. You know, it's so amazing. It it's the whole thing. The whole human beings are in the language. If you can pass that to the kids, you know, the joy for learning the language. If I can pass that to my students, I mean, they can go on their own. For me, it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm always excited. I don't think I can teach anything else. Yes, I was born in Peru and I grew up there. I went to undergraduate school in Peru. Well, I was doing undergraduate in linguistics and foreign language education, and my main languages were English and German. But because I was doing linguistics, you know, our professor recommended us to take another language, and so I took Japanese. There was the opportunity to apply for a scholarship to study in Japan, so I went to Lima, applied there, and then I went to Japan. That was my first time I went to Japan. Because I was doing the language and I was in the country where they spoke the language, it was so much more exciting. When I got to Japan, studies were difficult, so I couldn't do that many fun things, so I have to study every night, you know. There was a lot of homework, there was a lot of things I didn't know. So my first 2 years in Japan were kind of tough. Oh, my program was only 2 years, but I wanted to continue study the master's, so I went back to Peru. And before coming back to Peru, I applied to the master's program in Japan. I got in. So I went back to Peru to, you know, get some money and work. The second time it was so much easier, you know. I was sure what I wanted to do, and I was so excited because I waited like 3 years to go back, so I knew exactly what I needed to do. Okay, at the second time I returned to Japan, I was already married, so my husband came with me, and then my first daughter was born in Japan. And after our study, my husband did also his PhD, and I did my master's and my PhD in Japan. So we were getting ready to go back to Peru, but you know, the job offers we were waiting, they were never coming or materializing in Peru. And then my husband got a job offer from Pitt, the University of Pittsburgh. So we decided, you know, we take a chance and we go to Pittsburgh, so we came here. No, when I came, there was an announcement on the paper, very little like this, you know, in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette said that they needed, I was actually looking for a job, and they needed a Spanish teacher that can teach a little bit of Japanese. So I went to the interview and nobody else was there. So I got the job. It was a big change because in Peru, I taught in college. In Japan, I also taught in college. So it was a big change, not only high school, but middle school. And the culture, you know, American culture, American education is very different from Peru and from Japan. I knew I was going to teach Japanese and Spanish, but when I got to the interview in the school, they said, well, you also have to teach Latin. So I was teaching Latin, Spanish, and Japanese at Malayans for a year. And then I went to Perry High School and I was teaching there Japanese and Spanish. Yeah. And it was so much easier, you know, because they were bigger kids, and yeah, it was so much easier at Perry than middle school. Middle school, I think, is tough anywhere, you know. There are too many changes in the kid, physically and psychologically, you know. And on top of that, a lot of issues and social problems. It's hard for the kids. Well, you know, it's Peru and Japan, they have a strong, how can I say, the teacher is a stronger figure. Kids in Japan don't even want to talk in public. So in a sense, it's like very few discipline problems and behavior problems, but On the other hand, I think kids here are more lively. You know, you can do games, you do songs, and they will do it. You know, even in high school, they're excited to participate and do it and show off, you know, their skill. Like in Japan, they're more reserved. You know, sometimes it's very hard to teach a language class where kids don't want to talk. And, you know, public education is losing a lot of funding when we need it more. Oh, I think we have to fight, you know, because if we don't fight, who's going to fight for the kids? See, what I notice more is a lot of anxiety. You know, kids, they all want to be 100% perfect. You know, I feel like the culture here in the US is, oh yeah, you don't get an A, you know, you won't have a good chance to go to a good college, you won't have a good chance to do that. Like, I didn't see that in Peru. You know, in Peru, kids are okay. They get a C or a B, an A, they're happy, you know. Even a D, they're okay. In Japan, it's a little bit different though. Grades are very strong there too, and you know, there is this pressure of taking exams for high school, you know, entrance exams, and according to whatever high school you go, then, you know, you can go to certain universities, and then the admission test for universities is harder than in the US, I think. And it's so exciting to see, you know, you're doing what you like to do. Hey, good, this is exciting.